DonInLondon, hello, it's July 5th, 2009. My video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. My substance, alcohol, my behaviour, trying to be whatever you wanted me to be. Workaholic, said yes a lot, didn't know how to say no. And Gandhi said, an emphatic no is better than a half-hearted yes. So these days, I try and practice what I share, not what I preach, I hope, but what I share on a daily basis about what makes recovery possible. And not drinking anymore, not going to excess, out of balance with work, relationships, anything in particular, except maybe just trying to make progress. And I guess that's my mantra, progress, not perfection. So where am I today? Well, I haven't had a drink yet, but it's early in the day, and it's been some years since I had one. But you know what, with the way the world is at the moment, people are tormented by all sorts of things going wrong, and life is out of balance. And when people are asked to take a year off on 25% pay and things like that, you know, it does say a lot about what has happened in our world, and that things aren't very good. So how do I cope? Or how do I live my life plan one day long? It seems a bit strange. And I was listening to the news just on BBC, and they had some people talking about psychotherapy, and one was saying very clearly, psychotherapy is about living in the now, knowing enough about where we've come from and not getting too wrapped up in the future, I guess. And sometimes we can look back and stare very hard and be absolutely appalled by our behaviour and what happened to us when we were indulging in our addictions. And addiction is to the excess, to the point where we cannot stop, and nothing else seems to matter. No matter what, we are driven to our addiction, whether it's a substance or a behaviour. So these days I'm aware, very aware, where things can go very quickly. But what helps me? Family, community, society, people genuinely having a good conscience and wanting me to do okay, and me too. So the Fellowship of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, is integral to my recovery. I don't speak for it. It's a unique, authentic fellowship with unique, authentic people in it. And if people want to share, they can. And if they wish to make their statements, they can. I cannot speak for them, and I'm only a unique, authentic person who goes there one day at a time, gets a bit of wisdom, and comes away with a better outlook maybe after an hour. And rather do an hour in an AA meeting than 24/7 drinking. So that's me at the moment. And AA, my videos, I feature most things AA related, because my life has been changed by the fellowship. I share the preamble, said at every meeting in London, and there are 720 to choose from, and that's all in a week. Anyway, AA, this statement is said at the beginning of meetings and really gives a flavour of what it's all about. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And that's all about living in one day. And that last bit, our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. It's a very great leveller. It's about being the same size as anybody else. And the journey of life is about our emotional understanding and living, our spiritual understanding and living, and our physical living just as best we can be today, without going to extremes of behaviour. So emotional, spiritual, and is finding the truth of now. So when people talk about higher power or God, I also include good conscience, because I feel that is the absolute link. The good conscience that every human has. We can be turned and tormented away from it by all sorts of things, the way people behave towards us, or what we do to ourselves when we don't know just how dangerous our behaviour is. So if you told me when I was 7 or 8 years old that my granddad giving me a whiskey and orange was going to change my life, I might have said, I don't know what you're talking about. It just made me violently sick, actually. I didn't know this, I don't remember, but my mother does, so she reminded me. And you know, would a sane person drink if they knew they were going to be an addict? Well, the answer is no, because nobody knows if they're going to be an addict or not. And it can be a product of nature and nurture. nature, our genetic structure changes with each generation. So if many generations of my lot have been taking to the bottle or the pots or whatever it was that they had the vessel of alcohol, it was best left in the vessel and not in me. So I'm learning day at a time. Maybe my genetic code can't change, but if I were to have progeny, which is very doubtful these days, maybe I would not be passing it on in such abundance that it was a nice idea to drink, and once it gave me one I couldn't stop. But that took a long time to happen. So yes, the readings of AA, which I'll share today, I just mentioned that it's nearly 2 years since my nearly brother-in-law died, and I think I really need to go say hello to my sister, and I will do that. And it was a harrowing time for everyone. Nobody likes or can cope with people passing in our lives. If we love them, then it's going to have an impact, and it can be several years, if not a lifetime, of remembering a little bit of grief and fondness and cherishing of memories. So I suppose it's a bit like Michael Jackson, a mixed opinion. But you know what, if you just look at the person and their life and what they tried to do and how they had to live, given all the things that went on, it's an extraordinary story, and I wouldn't want to be a judge. Anyway, daily reflections. It's now July, all about step 7 in the action programme. Step 7 is to deal with our shortcomings, if you like, and try and improve our outlook, have a bit more courage, faith and confidence. And last month was about our defects of character. So it's like from the step 4, which I covered in April, there is an inventory of assets and liabilities, and they sort of go with the 7 deadly sins, which are pride, envy, wrath, sloth, greed, gluttony, lust. Those are the deficits. Some people might think they're the good ones. The holy virtues are faith, hope, charity, prudence, temperance, fortitude and justice. So when we've done an inventory against that sort of checklist, it can be a bit daunting. We can think, my goodness me, where did my good conscience go? Or why was I driven so towards some things and not others? So as we go through step 6 and 7, it's about a sort of spiritual upheaval in some ways, and a life balance changing to the good of good conscience rather than wallowing through our defects. And what can one say? We all have these capacities, and life experience will teach us one way or another where they're going to go. Anyway, the daily reflection for today in this book, bearing in mind those things, it says July 5th, a new direction. Our human resources are marshalled by the will. As marshalled by the will, were not sufficient, they failed utterly. Every day is a day when we must carry the vision of God's will in all our activities, or as I like to see it, good conscience, or whatever power you find authentic and unique to you. I hear talk of the weak-willed alcoholic, but one of the strongest-willed people I was, or am, one of the strongest-willed people on earth. I now know that my incredible strength of will is not enough to save my life. My problem is not one of weakness, but rather of direction. When I, without falsely diminishing myself, accept my honest limitation and turn to God's guidance or good conscience, my worst faults become my greatest assets. My strong will, rightly directed, keeps me working until the promises of the programme become my daily reality. And daily reality is about serenity. Serenity doesn't necessarily mean it's joyful, it can be very sad as well. And as Bill sees it for today, it talks about blind trust, and I can't cover it, I haven't got enough time, I've rambled on. So, beginning of July, looking at my shortcomings, which is to improve my courage, faith and confidence, and my love of people, I suspect, and love of myself. Forgiving everything, every day, because if we don't forgive it in ourselves or in others, then we're stuck really in a harsh place of judgment and judgmental behaviour. So, using the serenity prayer to the God of your choosing or your understanding or good conscience, unique and authentic it is. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference just for today.